各位女士、各位先生，晚安！欢迎各位莅临今天晚上的沉默的泪水国际音乐会。Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Bonsoir, mesdames et messieurs, soyez les bienvenus. Bruchim habayim, erev tov, Shabbat shalom. Welcome to the Silent Tears International Music Concert. First of all, please turn off your mobile phones, and thank you for your cooperation. 提醒您关闭您的手机或者调整为静音，谢谢大家的合作。接下来我们要感谢并且欢迎几位贵宾的莅临。首先，我们欢迎加拿大办事处的代表及夫人。We would like to welcome our distinguished guests here with us. First, let's welcome Honorable Representative Mr. Jim Nicol and Mrs. France Vian, Madame France Vian, from the Canadian Trade Office in Taipei. Welcome. 接下来欢迎苏玉修牧师和他的团队，欢迎。接下来，让我们欢迎和平纪念馆的卓牧师。Let's welcome Pastor 卓 from the Holocaust Peace Memorial Hall in Tainan。还有我们非常宝贵的 TJC 的朋友们 ，Friends from Taiwan Jewish Community。Welcome。还有活石文化及牧者团队，欢迎。最要欢迎就是今天晚上到场的每一位热情的听众。如果你们听得觉得感动，该鼓掌的时候就鼓掌大声一点。感谢您的支持莅临。Thank you for your presence and support。在我们欣赏国际级的美妙音乐之前，我们要邀请促成这次音乐会的推手及联络人。Before we enjoy the wonderful international music performance, we would like to invite Rabbi Cody and Mrs. Sonia for a speech. He's the one who connected the musicians with the organizers. 欢迎 Rabbi Cody 还有 Sonia 夫人来为我们讲几句话。
Shabbat Shalom. So I am going to speak in English, and Sonia here will say the Chinese. So if you want to clap, wait till after the Chinese. So big thank you to Daniel Rosenberg for helping to produce this very meaningful show. And thank you Lenka, Clark, and James, the very accomplished musicians, for traveling all the way here to Taiwan to perform for us tonight.
感谢 Daniel 协助制作这场意义非凡的演出，并感谢极具才华的音乐家 Lenka、Clark、James 不辞千里来到台湾，为我们带来今晚的表演。
And thank you to the Canada Council for the Arts and the Ontario Arts Council for your financial support of this project.
感谢加拿大艺术委员会和安大略艺术委员会对这个项目的财务支持。
A very special thank you to Paul Hsieh, Tiffany, Justine, and the entire Israeli Zio team for hosting, arranging, and promoting this event. You all have no idea how many sleepless nights over the past few months they have put into making this a reality.
在这里特别感谢 Paul、Tiffany、Justine 以及整个以色列之友在台湾联盟的团队以及工作人员，他们为了筹备、安排和推广这场异地续演唱的活动，付出了巨大的努力。过去的几个月来，他们熬过了无数个不眠之夜，才让这场演出成为现实。我们对他们深感表激。
Having experienced the amazing Love Israel concert that they produced earlier this year, I knew that they would make this a night to remember. But it was only after countless messages and meetings leading up to tonight's event that I realized just how dedicated Paul and his team are, and we really have to express the depth of our gratitude to them, which words simply cannot express.
今年稍早在5月，我们在大安举办了 Last Yiddish Tango 演唱会之后，我们就知道他们今晚一定能再带给我们一个难忘的夜晚。然而，只有在这场演出前无数次的讯息与会议中，我们才真正了解到 Paul 与他的团队的奉献精神。我们真心感谢他们的付出，这份感激之情已经无法用言语形容。
And of course, thank all of you for coming and joining us here tonight for what is truly a very remarkable event.
当然，我们也要感谢大家今天的莅临，共同见证这场真正非凡的活动。
Not only is this the first time that the show Silent Tears has come to Taiwan, but this is the first known Yiddish concert in Taiwan ever.
这不仅是 Silent Tears 首次来到台湾的演出，同时也是台湾首次举办异地絮语音乐会。
So Yiddish is a language I think most people here have never heard. So I want to say a few words about what it is and why it is important.
异地絮语是一种许多人可能从未听过的语言，所以我想在这里简单介绍一下它的背景以及重要性。
So Yiddish is a language that originated in Europe around 1,000 years ago.
异地絮语是一种犹太的语言，起源约于1000年前的欧洲。
And for over 1,000 years, Yiddish was the language spoken by the majority of Jews around the world.
在过去的1000多年里，异地絮语是全球大多数犹太人使用的语言。
While Hebrew is the language of the land of Israel, Yiddish was the primary language of the Jews of Europe.
虽然希伯来语是以色列的官方语言，但异地絮语曾是欧洲犹太人的主要语言。
And even today, Yiddish is spoken by thousands of Jews worldwide. It is also making a huge comeback, with more and more people learning and speaking Yiddish in Jewish communities and even in universities every single year.
即便到了今天，异地絮语仍然有数以千计的犹太人在使用。同时，这门语言也正经历着复兴。每年，越来越多的犹太社群与大学开始学习和使用异地絮语。
In fact, here in Taiwan, at Wenzhou University of Languages in Kaohsiung, there is a world-famous professor of Yiddish who has also joined us here tonight, Professor Sohui-Chang.
今晚我们非常荣幸地邀请到来自高雄文藻外语大学世界知名的异地絮语教授张守慧教授。张教授致力于研究犹太文化，特别是异地絮语，并且在该领域取得了卓越的成就。他的专业知识对于推广异地絮语还有犹太文化在台湾的认识具有非常重要的意义。让我们对张教授的到来表示热烈的欢迎和由衷的感谢。
Even though most of the songs you're about to hear are in Yiddish and tell stories from a Jewish perspective, the stories are truly universal.
接下来你将聆听到的歌曲大多以异地絮语演唱，尽管这些歌曲是以犹太人的视角来叙述故事，但其中的情感和主题是具有普世价值的。
The music of Silent Tears is based on poems and testimonies written by women who were victims of violence and torture at the hands of the Nazis during the Holocaust.
Silent Tear 的音乐创作灵感来自于一些女性的人生诗歌与在2次纳粹大屠杀期间的证词。她们曾是纳粹大屠杀期间遭受暴力和折磨的受害者。
Hearing their stories and understanding what these women endured is more important today than ever.
聆听他们的故事，理解他们所经历的苦难，在当今时代显为尤为重要。
In recent years, Jews around the world have faced more and more challenges and increasing threats. These challenges not only threaten our safety, but also awaken our memories of trauma that we have faced in the past.
近年来，全球犹太人面临越来越多的挑战与威胁。这些挑战不仅威胁到我们的安全，也唤起了我们对过去创伤的记忆。
On October 7th of last year, more Jewish lives were lost than any single day since the Holocaust.
去年的10月7日是自大屠杀以来犹太人死亡人数最多的一天。
Since then, we have seen a rise of anti-Semitism across the world, and just recently, Jews were beaten in the streets of Amsterdam for simply being Jewish.
自那之后，我们目睹了全球内反犹太主义的抬头。最近，甚至有犹太人在阿姆斯特丹街头，仅因为犹太的身份而被殴打。
As we must never forget, anti-Semitism is a canary in the coal mine. It is the warning sign that hatred against the other is rising.
我们必须牢记，反犹太主义就像煤矿里的金丝雀，它是一个警示，象征对异己的仇恨正在升级。
And hatred for any group of people is always wrong. Violence against the innocent is always wrong.
对于任何群体的仇恨是错误的，对于无辜者的暴力行为更是错误的。
But strength in the face of adversity and hope in times of darkness demonstrate that human race can do better.
但在逆境中的坚韧，以及在黑暗中的希望，证明了人类有能力变得更好。
Here in Taiwan, we as Jews are extremely lucky to live in peace and in a place where we are accepted, embraced, and feel safe.
在台湾，我们犹太人非常的幸运，能生活在一个接纳我们、包容我们，并让我们感到安全的地方。
But not all Jews are this lucky, especially right now. The rise of anti-Semitism is something that my brothers and sisters around the world regularly face.
然而，并非所有犹太人都这么幸运，尤其在现在当下，反犹太主义的抬头是我们全球犹太兄弟姐妹们经常要面对的现实。
In a time like this, when so many people are expressing their hatred for the Jewish people, the solidarity shown by Israel Zio, Paul Hsieh, Tiffany Chang, Justine Cho, and the entire Israel Zio team shows us the potential for humanity to come together and just how valuable friends from all corners of the world really are.
在这样的时代里，当如此多的人公开表达对犹太人的仇恨时，以色列之友在台联盟的 Paul Hsieh、Tiffany Chang、Justine Cho 以及整个团队以及背后的工作人员所展现的团结，让我们看到了人类携手合作的潜力，以及来自世界各地的友谊是多么的珍贵。鼓掌。
As you listen to the following stories, let them move you. Let them take you wherever your emotions may go. It may not always be easy, but open your hearts.
当你聆听接下来的故事时，请用心的去感受，让他们触动你的情感。这或许可能并不是总是轻松愉快的，但请你敞开你的心房来聆听以下的演出。
Let the evils of the past inspire us to stand up for what is right and to come together as humans, as people, all equally created in the image of God. And let us make sure to fulfill the promise and say with me, never again.
让过去的邪恶行径激励我们，勇敢地为正义而站出来。让我们团结起来，作为人类，作为同样按照上帝形象被创造的个体，携手实现承诺。让我们一起宣誓，这一切永不再发生。
Thank you.
谢谢，小巴小龙。
Good evening. My name is Lenka Lichtenberg. I was born in the former Czechoslovakia, and my family was Jewish from my mother's side. Czech Jews, like my family, were very comfortable. They had good lives, good education. My great-grandfather was a judge in a small town, and everything was great until 1939, when the Nazi Germany occupied Czechoslovakia, and Jewish people, including my family, have lost all rights and became non-citizens. In 1942, they were all deported to Theresienstadt, which was a concentration camp in Czechoslovakia. In Czech, it's called Terezín. My family was there for over 2 years, and from there, except for my mother and grandmother, everyone was then deported to Auschwitz, where they were murdered. So only my mother and grandmother remained from a large family. 8 years ago, when my mom passed away, I found 2 little booklets. Here is one of them. These little booklets have poetry in them, poems that my grandmother, Hannah, collected, adapted, and wrote herself in the concentration camp. You will hear songs based on these poems. Some of them are romantic and sweet, loving and hopeful. Others are sad, dark, and hopeless. I believe that their texts speak for themselves, so I will not have to translate everything before each poem. I think these poems were very meaningful to my grandmother. I think they gave her a chance to escape from the reality of the concentration camp. Eternally redeemed.
eternally. In the darkest night, remember the sun. Remember the sun. Love is the only spring through which life is born. Cherish your life and never have regrets. Never have regrets. Lost, eternally redeemed, eternally. In the darkest night, remember the sun. In the darkest night, remember the sun. Remember the sun. Remember the sun. On the road without footprints, from cradle to tomb. On the road without footprints, we stumble, we swoon. To those we love the most, we give the bloodiest wounds. Those we love the most.
Singing
in the black of the sea, in the blue of the night, bring sunshine to me on your waves of delight, and tell me it's not true that love escapes with time. Time escapes with love.
singing
in the black of the sea, blue of the night, bring sunshine to me.
singing
on the road without footprints. On the road without footprints. On
I don't know in what situations my grandmother wrote which poems. I can just imagine from the text. And I believe this next poem that you will hear as a song was written after my grandfather, Richard, was deported to Auschwitz, and this is about their last goodbye.
It was a wintry dusk, my darling, when we said our last goodbye with frozen hands, frozen words. The dead were asking through eternity, shrieks of their silence carried over fields, and cosmos cooled the heat of our misery. Pain is a moment, there's no pain beyond. With the last tear, the final darkness fell, and God couldn't see our faces. The end fell into our eyes like a rock onto a mirror, and only the wind wanted to know what was happening. Щастя горе, нещасні блазені, болесть є живот, болесть є біті. The end is reconciliation. The end is eternal nothing. When life is not lived, nothing hurts. And now we just gaze from behind our blind pupils at the living pain of the happy surroundings. I wrote this next composition to bring my mother and my grandmother together in one place. You will hear my grandmother's poem and my mother's voice. This is from a Czech TV documentary that was made about her for the Czech TV. There, in that film, she is reading the last entry in her diary. This is the diary. She is 15 years old at the time, and it's in December 1942. She says that they received the summons, the papers, to go and leave their home and go to the concentration camp.
And she says, I hope and I believe that we will return. And then she goes on to describe in this documentary how it was to lock the door to their family home one last time, to hand over the key to the Nazi officer.
Jedeme za 14 dní do transportu. Doufám a věřím, že se vrátíme.
In 2 weeks, we'll be leaving with the trains. I do hope and I believe that we will come back.
I have my own grief, but maybe I can carry your sorrow too. Should I fall with all that weight, or fall down silently?
Tohle je opravdu nejsmutnější chodba mého života, protože je to chodba k dveřím, kde jsem měla šťastné chvíle se svojí rodinou. A tady jsou ty dveře, kde byla usazná tabulka Richard Fries, a kde jsme naposledy 17. prosince 1942 zamkli dveře s povinností klíče dovést do Hradce Králové, kde nás soustředovali jako všechny Židy z toho hradeckého okresu nebo část. To byly tisíc lidí vždycky v každém transportu a tam se muselo na stole odevzdat všechno, včetně klíčů. Doufám a věřím, že se vrátíme. Doufám a věřím, že se vrátíme. Že se vrátíme. Že se vrátíme. A věřím, že se vrátíme. Že se vrátíme.
Vlastní krát, však i tvůj žal snad ještě unesu. Po tobě napadnu-li, já padnu bez hlasu. I'll be falling, I'll be falling. Oh, be falling silently. Oh, be falling. Oh, be falling. Oh, be falling silently.
Doufám a věřím, že se vrátíme. Nashledanou. 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 Nashledanou.
that you cared for into the oddity of twilight. One word was exiled 1,000 times. The heart embodied in my heart, you know how I said I want to all your desires, while the heart was beating with a mysterious promise. And there never have been more magical moments and evenings of intimacy more brilliant, nights of dreams more beautiful. And the heart has never dreamt so exquisitely. As in our togetherness. As in our togetherness. This next song was not written by my grandmother. It was written by a Yiddish Canadian poet. Her name is Rachel Korn. And it is a poem about survivor guilt, which my mother always demonstrated when she wanted to buy something new, but she felt so bad about it because everybody else perished and they were gone and couldn't buy anything. And Rachel Korn just says in very few words, very many emotions packed in there, as you will understand from the translation. Ich hab sie angekommen zum ersten Mal, noch 7 lange Jahre, ein Kleid. Ich hab sie angekommen zum ersten Mal, noch 7 lange Jahre, ein Kleid. Ich hab sie angekommen zum ersten Mal, noch 7 lange Jahre, ein Kleid. kurz war mein Treuer, zu eng war mein Leid, war mein Und sie sah jeder weißgläserne Klopp wie ein Träger, was fließt von die Faden ab, versteinert und schwer. Ich hab sich angetonheit zum ersten Mal, noch 7 lange Jahre an ein zum ersten Mal, noch 7 lange Jahre an ein Kleid. Ich hab sich angetonheit zum ersten Mal, noch 7 lange Jahre an ein Kleid. The beastly waters came rushing down, just heavy boulders remain, swept away fields and harvest, putting out dreams and flames. satisfied are just the stones, just the stones. Bridges and dams ripped off the shores, and like complaints smothered the fire. Grief has died, hearts in euphoria. Oh, when the dead came alive, safe from the mire. At the dawn of the world, it was the same. Everything goes to ruin over time. At the dawn of the world, it was the same. The flood is now over in a white morning. With kindness, God set you through. The end of the world is a new beginning, so your learning can start anew. Yeah, the end of the world is a new beginning, so your learning can start anew. So your learning can start anew. So your learning can start anew. So your learning can start anew.
Thank you. And we will finish this part of the program, which was Thieves of Dreams, all based on the poems of my grandmother. We will finish this with a Yiddish song, which happens to be the very first Yiddish song I ever learned in my life when I was very little. It's called Wer hat az a Yingele.
Von dem Himmel zugeschickt, ein Engel mir, mit ein Häuser mich beglückt. Ich lieb ihm und schier. Lichtig ist vor mir mein Welt, voll mit Sonnenschein. Is mir Teil von euch eine Schammel eins. Lieber Gott, ich bin bei dir, geht immer vor mir. Hat das Engel mal erscheint. Bei mir mein Welt voll mit Sonnenschein. Ist mir ein Teil von unseres Geld. Eine Schande eins. Lieber Gott, ich bin bei dir, geht immer vor mir. Wer hat das Engel mal erscheint? Wenn ich wären alt und schwach, gedenk meiner Kind, gedenk ihr Sach, als ich hab noch ein Engel am
最近正在申请，可能再过1个月左右，应该就可以正式的成立。那这次的活动呢，就是由以色列之友联盟在台湾所举办的。那这个协会成立的主要的宗旨跟目的呢，就是在守护台湾这一块净土，让它不会沦入一个反犹的一个社会。那我们所怀的宗旨呢，叫做爱与和平，但是我们说，强调的是台湾主流社会价值，台湾的主流社会价值里面的这个正义，还有善良、良善这样子的一种主流的价值观。那我们强调，在爱里面是没有仇恨的，真正的爱是没有任何的仇恨，是不会，真正的爱是不会对特定的族群。有任何先天性的仇恨，那不只是对犹太民族的仇恨，或者是对这个任何的族群的仇恨，这个呢都不是爱。那么也不是我们台湾人所愿意接受的。那么另外呢，就是和平，对于和平呢，是我们所有人类的共同的祈求。但是呢，和平呢里面是不能够有恐怖的，就是我们认为真正的和平啊，那是不能够有任何形式的恐怖跟暴力这个成分在里面的。所以我们所坚持的是 real 的，是 love is real， 就是爱是真实的。那么爱里面是没有仇恨， 而且和平啊是peace 里面呢是不应该有恐怖这个成分在里面。那也就是因为这样子，在全球反犹的高涨的情况之下，那我们以色列之友联盟在这里也就是以台湾的代表台湾民间的，完全是没有任何的政府机构，也没有任何其他的外来的机构或者是主要的捐赠者在背后来支持的，或者是成立的，或是指导的，所以这代表台湾民间呢最单纯的一个声音，在台湾的民间呢最真实的一个主流价值的一个呈现。那么过去我们在5月在大安森林公园办了 loveisreal 爱以真音乐会，这个呢也让全世界看到了台湾的主流民意。那么台湾的人民呢在这种不容易的时刻，那么基于共同的价值理念，就是台湾的整个价值理念跟以色列的价值理念是很接近的。那么两者都是在一种非常面对很大挑战的外围的环境当中呢，但是仍然坚持自由民主人权的这样子的一个道路。就好像台湾呢是整个华人世界的民主的一个灯塔一样，那以色列呢也是中东国家呢唯一的，那么就是真正的自由民主，各族群各样的人种、各样族群、各种的宗教、各种的性别都可以一律的在这个自由跟法治之下来享受自由、跟经济、跟繁荣、跟创造力。那么这个呢，也就是为什么我们台湾跟这个以色列当中呢有这样的共同的一个价值理念。那么那当然呢，这里面我们就看到Rabbi Cody 呢也娶了我们台湾原住民的公主作为老婆啊，更加见证了这一点啊。所以各位啊，爱台湾就是爱以色列，爱以色列就是爱台湾。哈利路亚！那就我们今天谢谢各位来这样子的一个参与。那么这一次呢，我们举办的完全是没有收任何的费用，那就请各位就是踊跃的来支持、来奉献。那么尤其我想结束以前，我们会有一个奉献哈，那个奉献呢，会除了就是说帮助这次的这个费用，也感谢他们给我们这么优质的这么有震撼力，又让我们洗涤我们灵魂深处的这样子的一种生命的咏歌的这样子的一种表演所以就谢谢各位，好，谢谢。
We will do a little translation.
所以我们今天直接来先做一些翻译。
So the songs on the second source material for the songs on Silent Tears are from a social worker at the University of Toronto who worked with women who were victims of long-term trauma, who were Holocaust survivors when they in the 1940s, but were suffering enormously in their old age from the traumas that they dealt with as children.
所以在第二个阶段，他们的这个歌词的来源是在一个博士，在多伦多大学社会学的博士，然后主要是在讲这些1940年代这些受害的女性者他们的这些创伤。
They were victims of crimes such as forced sterilization and sexual violence.
他们是这些受害者有很多的在性虐待上或者是肉体上面的伤害。
And they kept these stories secret from even their own families.
很多人他们把这些故事隐藏，甚至连他们的家人他们都不敢说。
And in their old age, keeping these stories secret caused a lot of trauma. So she brought these women together and created a group poetry project.
那当他们到年老的时候，他们很难把这样子的故事继续隐藏，所以他把这些受害者召集起来，然后他们有了一个团体，一起分享。
And two of the songs that you're going to hear today are from this project, including the very first song called Silent Tears. And that is about a fear that many women had at the time during the war, and that was the fear of being separated from their own children, especially being separated from their daughters.
那等一下将演奏的其中有2首歌，就是从他们这个团体里面分享出来的歌作曲。然后呢，这主要里面其中一首歌就是我们这次今天的主题，就叫《沉默的眼泪》。他们很害怕的其中就是被分离、被分开，尤其是跟他们的家人、跟孩子要分开。
Now, the song Silent Tears deals with a story about a mother on the run from the Nazis in a forest in Poland.
那这《沉默的眼泪》这首歌是关于一个女性，她在逃离纳粹，在波兰的这个森林里面。
Her children are starving, and she has to go run off and try to steal food from a farm in order to feed them.
她的孩子们都快要饿死了，所以她必须要去找到一个农场，然后去偷些食物回来喂她的孩子们。
When she comes back, she cannot find them.
当她回来的时候，她找不到她的孩子们。
She has to search for them in silence because if they yelled to try to find each other, they would be discovered and killed.
她必须要很沉默、很安静的来寻找他们的孩子，因为她发出声音或者是要呼喊他们，他们可能就会被纳粹找到，然后被杀掉。
And this song called Silent Tears is about them trying to find each other in silence, and in the end they are reunited.
而这首歌《沉默的眼泪》就是在讲他们在好像寂静中互相的寻找，而到最后他们找到了彼此。
This is Silent Tears.
这首叫做《沉默的泪水》。
Behalten sich Geseder in Wald 4 Tag allein. 3 Kinder lach ausgehungert, nicht da wohin zu gehen. Gemüse dort verlosen und gehen noch Speisen Dorf. Gegangen auf Sekundes, zurück und sie storm. Nicht mit Tod doch nicht schreien, man kann es so nicht rufen, sein stilles Mengenläuf, jeder Schau ist toll, sie wollen nicht zurück, wird man dich verhoppen, wird man sie durchschießen. Mich wird sie durchschießen. Und es ist dann geschehen uns, sucht sie noch einen Ort, die Dichter lag gefunden, in dem Wald, sie sitzen dort. Ich hab gekuscht, die Penny im Lach, Satz, Satz, Satz. Tränen von Stumme, Tränen von Nacht.
we got this working. Now, the next suite of songs are based on Molly Applebaum's diary and memoir, Buried Words. This is Molly Applebaum a few years ago when we started this project. She's now 94 years old and lives in Toronto, Canada. And as I mentioned, during the war, her mother had arranged for a place for her to hide on a farm in a town called Dombrova. It's about an hour away from Krakow. And because the punishment for hiding Jews was death, the farmer buried Molly under the barn in a wooden box along with her cousin. It was so small they couldn't even sit up, and there was a small hole to breathe through. When enough light came in, she kept a diary about her ordeal, the cold, the filth, the insects, and even the sexual abuse that she dealt with. And you can see that's her writing there, in addition to a photo of her as a child. Molly was hoping that her best friend, named Sabina Goldman, would join her in hiding. Molly had told me that she was in love with Sabina. They were both young girls at the time. Sabina, though, wrote Molly a letter saying that she couldn't join her because she had to take care of her elderly parents who were in poor health. But she urged Molly to do everything humanly possible to survive. Molly saved that letter the rest of her life. Sabina was murdered the next week. This next song, Sabina's letter, is based on that letter that Molly saved.
Stell dir vor, die Kron gepackt mit Scheuer und du gehst in die Schule mit mir. Mensch, nicht und Haupt, nicht gehen Mäure. Stell dir, als ich läufe weg mit dir. Sie gedenkst noch Lehrers und Examen. Sie gedenkst der Shirley Temple Film. Mensch, nicht, wir seien noch zusammen. Trick mich fest wie Trick mit Jahren viel und gehen offen. Ich steige die Erde rein, gehen schon Hoffnung. Es ist vorbei zu die Zeit, war die Hoffnung, bekommen oder Teich. Das Leben gehört nicht uns mehr, nur dem Deitsch. Sie haben recht, die Deutschen, Thomas sie belebt da jid. Kommen noch im Krieg, weil all die Deutschen fallen für ihn, kuschen seine Tritt. Ich kann nicht losen, ob mein Tate Mame, Läusen weg ist du für sie, für mir. Aber du in unser Lebensdrame, Leben nicht vergiss, ich bin mit dir und gehen Hoffnung. Ich steige die Erde weit, kein schon Hoffnung. Es ist vorbei schon die Zeit, wo die Hoffnung bekommen hat oder Deutsch. Das Leben sich, als sie haben recht die Deutschen. Thomas überlebt den Krieg. Kuschen seine Füße, wenn er gewiss, ich weiß, ob kommen tritt. Ich kann nicht losen noch mein Tate Mama. Sie soll uns ein Weg beschert geben. Duschen auf den Koi, sein es Pollen ruhig. Wird euch wieder treffen sich.
Now, you may wonder why this program is tango, for example, and not klezmer. The reason why we set this program to tell Molly Applebaum's survival story to tango is because tango swept the world in the 1920s and 1930s. And Poland became the capital of European tango, and Warsaw became the capital of Yiddish tango. Thousands of songs were recorded on old 78s, and most of the composers were Jewish. A number of the songs in our program, including the last song, Sabina's Letter, were based on music written by Artur Gold, who was born in 1897 in Warsaw. When the Nazis occupied Poland and set up the Warsaw Ghetto, Gold was first sent to the ghetto and then to the Treblinka concentration camp and death camp, where he was ordered by the SS to create a concentration camp orchestra. But Gold and all his musicians suffered the same fate as all the other Jews in the camp, and they were all murdered in 1943. This next song we're going to hear is also based on a melody written by Artur Gold, and it also deals with the story of Molly and her best friend, Sabina. This one is based on two diary entries that Molly wrote in 1942. And you can hear, when you see the lyrics of this song, that Molly has become very desperate, very angry at the situation. She still hasn't given up her faith in God, and she begs God to let her live so she can tell the world about the atrocities that were being committed. And it does have some justice that that prayer was finally answered 80 years later, that her words are being shared with the world now. This is called A Prayer for Rescue, and it's actually based on diary entries in Polish. It's the one Polish song in the program.
Ciemne nad nami chmury, zbrodnia i gwałt i mrok. Ty tylko patrzysz z góry, albo odwracasz wzrok. Ja się tak rzadko żalę, choć mam do ciebie żal. Czyżbyś nie słyszał wcale próśb, które szły mi w dół? Proszę ją z nadzieją kruchą, że w boskie ucho mój trafi głos. Proszę ją, gdy ktoś do ciebie wola w potrzebie przeciwnej wprost. Modlitwy wsłane w niebo wzajem się jedna spadła już na ziemię i skończyła w płacze, a jednak proszę ja z nadzieją marną godziny czarną czekając dnia. Proszę więc ogromnie, niech nas nie dzięci kat, nie zapominaj o mnie, daj jeszcze parę lat. Wybacz nam nasze grzechy, odmień ten sonny czas, niechaj zachoć poslechy, złącz nas i ocal nas. Proszę ja z nadzieją ruchom, że boskie ucha mój trafi głos. Proszę ja, gdy ktoś to w ciebie wola po ciebie przeciwnej wprost. Modlitwy slane wzajem niebo się strącają w locie. Niejedna spadła już na ziemię i skończyła w płacze, a jednak proszę ja z nadzieją marną godzinie czarną czekając dnia. Oh God, please give me some more time. I want to avenge your death. And then I will leave this world knowing that I've done what I had to do.
Now this next song, it's called Tell Me Where Can I Go? It's based on a famous Yiddish song called Via Hin Zolich Gain. It was actually the first song we did for this project. And it's based on a poem that Molly Applebaum wrote when she just went into hiding, buried in this box under the barn. Now the original song, Via Hin Zolich Gain, was about how there's no safe place in the world for Jews. And it's the thing that Jews felt all over Europe at that time because there was no safe place. And when I read this poem that Molly wrote while in hiding, when enough light came through that box, she wrote in her diary. And she wrote this poem about how the world is so large, how every part of the world is covered with people, and there's a place for every person, every animal. Everybody in the world and everything in the world had a place that was safe except for these two Jewish girls who had to remain buried below the surface. And she questioned whether she would ever see the sun, ever see the surface of the earth again. And described in this poem what it was like. So we combined this poem with this famous Yiddish song. This is called Via Hin Zolich Gain. Tell me where can I go? And Molly wrote this when she was 11 years old.
всечасний, що лежить скурчений. Ist die Welt groß genug? Трубоцтвай чеснота, чимно душно, як в гробі, на нас місця забракло, воїн залегне. Świat jest tak strasznie wielki, myślą go nie obejmiesz. Prawie że cała ziemia zamieszkanie jest przez ludzi. Wszyscy mają swoje miejsce. Tylko dla dwóch biednych istot dla nich miejsca zabrakło na powierzchni ziemi, ci im dadzą na świat iść. Ciemno, duszno jak w grobie, dla nas miejsca zabrakło. This next song is called The Golden Peacock, Die goldene Pave. It's a poem written by a Canadian Yiddish poet, Simcha Simchovich, who's a survivor from Poland and a poet then in Canada. Gekommen ist die goldene Pave zu fliehen von fremder Weit. Hab jahrelang gewartet für in Treue, in Bänkschaft zu steht. Goldene Pave, einzige Treue, komm, beweise sich mir zurück. Schweb und singen geflattert, die Ockerlied von Treue und Glück. Goldene Pave, einzige Treue, was Holland aus dem Asin. Seinen die Tage an deine Kulieren, verwebt in gräudig Spinn. Und so hat die Pave von Merchakim gehört mein Vielen, mein Gebet und zurückgefunden zu heilen der freien Herz von Poet. Jetzt flattert sie in bunte Kulieren, darum mir in mein Gemüt. Und sprebbeln die Lippen von sich allein an einem niegenden Lied. Goldene Pave, einzige Treue, was hat das Leben an dir ersehen? Seinen die Tag und deine Kulieren, verwebt in gräudig Spinn. weiß ich mir zurück. Seinen die Tänge und deine Kollegen auf der Treue und Glück.
This next song, A Victim of Mengele, is probably the most dark and disturbing song in the Silent Tears program. It's also from this poetry project that Dr. Paula David did with women who suffered unimaginable crimes and horrors during the Holocaust. And it deals with the experiments in sexual abuse that women suffered through at Auschwitz from Dr. Mengele. Including forced sterilization and human experimentation. The poetry project that she led helped bring these women together so that they would learn and be able to heal, because they realized that they weren't the only ones who went through these incredible horrors and traumas. So, and one of the consequences that you'll hear in this song is just how difficult it was for these women to do something so simple as go visit a doctor today, decades and decades later, because they were so terrified of what it was like seeing a doctor when they were in Auschwitz. This is called A Victim of Mengele.
Nach der Befreiung bin ich gewesen, monatenlang in der Spital, mein Militären gelegen ich sich auslernen gehen von der Snai, sich auslernen essen von Snai, sich auslernen reden von Snai, und mein Herz sich bei mir in so vielen von Snai. Doktorin gekommen, gelaufen, angucken mich auf diese Wunder, wie lebendig noch heute Zunde, noch allem, was hat mich getroffen. Von Hand, von die rotzkisches Korn, was haben mir Sachen gesteckt in dem Ort. Zu sehen, was wird öfter passieren, was haben reingespritzt zusammen in mein Leib. Zu sehen, ich will mir kapieren, dass ich bin sogar nicht gestorben sofort. Reingesteckt haben sie sich in mir dort und gelacht und gelacht und erschienen. Das hat er mir ausgerissen gesehen mit seinem Wort, mit Rätseln und Riechens. Ich sag kein Mann nicht oben, kein Kinder. Sich auslernen gehen von der Snai, sich auslernen essen von Snai, sich auslernen reden von Snai, und mein Herz, ich war mit, ich so
vielen von Stein. Nur vielen will ich noch die Damen von Liebe und Freund, Gott ein bisschen. Und haben will ich ein kleines Mädchen, was ihr erzählen will ich von meiner Tag und mir und von unseren Tagen und zu lieben bin ich jetzt der allein in der Welt. Kein Kinder und keinen zu lieben. Als man guckt, seh ich euch öfter stark. Nur in mir, sie ist als Pust gar nicht geblieben. Das hat der Doktor mir als angetan. Euch jetzt schreck ich sich wie am Mord. Ich darf zu der Doktor allein, als ich so. Sie uns lernen gehen von Dussnei. Sie uns lernen essen von Snei. Sie uns lernen reden von Snei. Und mein Haus, ich vermiete so viel von Snei. Sie uns lernen von Dussnei. Sie uns lernen essen von Snei. Sie uns lernen reden von Snei. Und mein Wort gibt noch viel von Snei.
Well, it seems we only have enough time in the venue for one last song. So the last piece we're going to do is called Don't Let Us Starve. And it sort of is the conclusion of what happened to Molly Applebaum during the war. Now, after this town where she was in hiding named Dombrova was liberated and the war ended, Molly Applebaum came to Canada as a refugee, not knowing a word of English or anyone in the entire country. Last month, she turned 94. And now she has 3 children, 6 grandchildren, and 7 great-grandchildren. In 2017, she published this book, Buried Words, which went on to win, by the Israeli Holocaust memoir series, it went on to win the Student Impact Prize at the University of Toronto and is used at universities all around the world in Holocaust education. Now, this music project is based on her story, and it has won awards all around the world, including the German World Music Prize and the Canadian Folk Music Award. This summer, we got to go to present this program in Poland, in Dombrova, the town where Molly was hidden. And after the concert, we got to actually visit the house where she was in hiding. This is the woman I met at the house. Inside that house, the youngest daughter of the family that hid Molly during the war is still living in that same house, which is quite remarkable. I want to thank a bunch of people that made this all possible. It's for us to present Silent Tears and Thieves of Dreams. And one thing we might not have mentioned, Thieves of Dreams won the Juno Award in Canada last year. That's Canada's highest music prize. We want to thank all of you for coming here and for all of the incredible organizers, including Rabbi Cody and Paul and Tiffany and Pauline. Thank you so, so much for making us feel so welcome and making this show possible. We want to thank Canada Council for the Arts and the Ontario Arts Council for supporting this project. Now, this last song, called Don't Let Us Starve, this is based on another letter. I also want to thank, of course, all the people that made this project possible, all the musicians, all of the translators, the lyricists. Actually, before I get to this last song, let me introduce the musicians here. So we were going to do one more song and do that introduction later. On violin, James McKee. On piano, Clark Schauffele. And of course, on vocals, Lenka Lichtenberg.
And our fantastic producer who came up with all these ideas and put it all together, Dan Rosenberg.
So this last song, Don't Let Us Starve, is based on another letter. This one is written by, most of the letter was written by Molly's cousin, Helen. Molly and her cousin were hidden in this box under this barn, and they had to endure cold, hunger, isolation, and even sexual abuse from the farmer that was hiding them. Towards the end of the war, the farmer stopped feeding them, and these two girls were starving and desperate. So Helen decided to write a letter begging the farmer to feed them for a few more months, hoping the war would end soon and they wouldn't just die under this barn of hunger. Molly decided, and you have to realize she was probably 13 to 14 years old at this time. She decided to add a few sentences to this letter to lie and say that she was pregnant with the farmer's child to try to garner some sympathy so that he might continue feeding them. Dombrova was liberated shortly after that, so they never had to give the farmer this letter. So this song is based on that letter from the end of the war. It's called Don't Let Us Starve.
Sag wohin Jesus wird dich beleugnen. Fahre deinen guten Tat. Sein zu mir.
谢谢他们精彩的演出，谢谢 Mrs. Lanka， 谢谢我们的钢琴手 Clark， 还有 James 提琴手，还有我们的感性的旁白 Dan， 谢谢他们的演出 ，Thank you very much。
各位贵宾小巴小弄，其实昨天我才刚从以色列回来。昨天晚上刚到高雄今天下午就上台北来参加这个意义重大的这样的聚会。那其实呢，在几天前我才刚去参观耶路撒冷的大屠杀纪念馆。那其实呢，在进到纪念馆的时候，一刚开始我就看见很沉重的这样的一个历史，很沉重的故事，整个大屠杀的历史就历历在目在我的眼前。但是呢，当我走到最后的时候，没有想到这整个大屠杀纪念馆的设计，一走到外面竟然是一个很大的落地窗。然后呢，它的造景很特别，就是一走出落地窗，就是望向锡安山，就是整个耶路撒冷的一个景观。所以呢，就让我更深的感受到，今天我在这个音乐会，我看了这些歌词，虽然说我不懂异地语，但是我们感谢有同工把它翻成中文，我们可以透过音乐，然后来了解这些深刻的历史，并且让我们很深刻的去了解到，犹太人、犹太民族，他们虽然在这个苦难当中，可是他永远保持一个坚强、坚韧。然后望向希望，就好像我从这个大屠杀纪念馆，好像很沉重，好像很难过，但是走出去是一个落地窗，望向锡安，望向希望，就好像犹太民族离散2000多年前，但是他们永远不忘记希望。今天很高兴你跟我一起站立在这个地方，我们一起透过旋律来传递这样的信息，也鼓励各位带着这样的一个感动，当你去到其他地方，也把这样的一个犹太民族的坚韧的这样的一个性格也传递出去。还有一个很重要的，这样的大屠杀 ，Never again， 永远不要再有，永远不能再有。所以非常感谢各位一起来参与这样的一个这么意义重大的音乐会，在整个筹办当中，非常感谢各位的支持。各位也知道，在全球反犹浪潮起来的时候，当我们要承办这样的一个音乐会是很不容易的，所以也需要各位的支持。 那在我们整个音乐会的筹办、整个场地啊、灯光、音响、工作人员啊，我们其实在以色列在台都完全是靠各位的奉献来支持。所以呢，也鼓励各位，要是你非常有感动的话，我们在我们的外面，我们有奉献箱，我们需要各位的支持。那我们目前呢，整个费用大约还差50万台币。好，所以鼓励各位也可以透过奉献来支持我们也支持我们未来的每一次的行动。那在这边再次的来谢谢大家，谢谢。